DayZ was originally a mod that released early to mid 2012, before it went on to become a full-on game. When it released, it helped turn Arma 2 from a relatively obscure military simulator into the top-selling game on Steam for a very long time. This small mod took the world by storm upon its release, and it's for a few simple reasons. This game was essentially an MMO with no scripted storyline or set quests. The only goal was very clear and spelled out in the mod description: survive by any means necessary. Developed by Dean Hall, who goes by the online handle of Rocket, the game was inspired by his survival training in the military and had a very steep learning curve, coupled with hunger and thirst meters, as well as permadeath, something that was highly uncommon at the time. So it instantly built a cult following before breaking into mainstream success. The reason I'm discussing this mod and its standalone successor, subsequent sequel mods, knockoffs, as well as all its variants, such as the Battle Royale and its various successors, is because no one has ever discussed how DayZ influenced the gaming landscape in such a massive way. Without this game, we would not have some of the giant games we have now that all fall under the popular Battle Royale label. However, something far more intriguing occurred during the rise and fall of DayZ, and I'm going to discuss that as well. It arguably showcases human psychology under extreme, albeit simulated pressure. Due to the open world and unscripted nature of the game, as well as various MMO aspects, many players would start off by bumping into strangers. During the early days of the game, teaming up was not uncommon, and many people would spend the time trying to survive like you would expect civilized people to do in real life. DayZ, however, introduced the world to something that had only been tried in a handful of games prior, and this was permadeath. In DayZ, you could spend hours and hours, even days, gearing up your character, only for them to die and for you to lose everything. Now imagine you've got the best backpack, a silenced assault rifle, camouflage clothes, enough food, ammo and meds to survive a Russian winter. And with all this gear, imagine you're running around without a worry, and you slip off a cliff, break your leg, come down with hypothermia or a cold or some sort of flu, and then die. Now, sorry to tell you, but that character is gone forever, and so is all your gear. Perhaps you didn't die to a cold on this playthrough. Perhaps another player betrayed you and took all your gear to their camp or tribe. Again, all that gear is gone, and so is that character. You have to start from the very beginning again, no matter how far you'd come. However, as time went on and players became savvy of how to avoid zombies, where to find the best food, clothes, ammo, and medicine, surviving the zombies and the elements became an afterthought, and it soon started to dawn on players that the real threat was the other players. Now, there was always a small chance that someone could be violent and attack on sight, even in the early days, with these players being referred to as bandits. And banditry was generally frowned upon by the DayZ community. However, as time went on and the game became more popular, this led to more players, along with more bandits. Many players, myself included, now would have experienced more and more betrayals, robberies, distrust, and murders, leading them to become more and more hostile and perhaps preemptive, starting to attack first just in order to survive, out of self-defense and self-preservation, not just to take people's gear, but to maximize their chance of survival, as another player was a variable that they couldn't account for, and one that sometimes was not worth the risk of keeping around or keeping alive. This became more and more common, before being attacked on sight was to be expected, and having a friendly encounter became the exception, not the rule. I know this all sounds like some cliche survival story like The Walking Dead or some other post-apocalyptic story, but you have to understand what makes this all so unique, and it's one simple thing: it wasn't scripted. The devs took measures to discourage banditry over the months, but people are people and will make their own decisions. Many continued to murder and kill on sight, not just in order to survive, but also to acquire gear, or occasionally just for fun. Terrifyingly, this violent and aggressive behaviour was not intended and is something that developed entirely organically without any scripting. Just like The Walking Dead or some other apocalyptic fiction, my personal story on DayZ had me and some friends forming into a small tribe, building our own little base and warring with other groups in order to hoard resources such as cars, guns, and medicine. In the north of the map, where all the deep forests and military bases were, it all became an absolute war zone, with factions of players forming who would then stockpile gear in order to have the upper hand. They'd set traps of vehicles on popular roads, stake out high-tier loot locations with snipers, and my team even figured out the popular sniper hills and then would plan our approaches to locations accordingly, even counter-sniping those hills frequently. It all became an arms race. One time, a guy even joined our tribe, so to speak. He joined us on Skype, and he played with us for a week or so, before he ended up eventually betraying us to another group on the same server, telling them the location of our base, as well as the various stashes we had around the map. And it was incredible. It felt awful at the time, losing hours and hours of gameplay, but those feelings of betrayal were real because we got betrayed by an actual real person, not some scripted NPC. I had gaming experiences on DayZ that I will likely not even come close to again, because all of them were unique, all of them were unscripted, and all of them were organic. And playing the game now, it just doesn't feel the same. Because I already know so much about how to survive in the game, it doesn't carry the same weight or intensity. It's almost like I've become desensitized to the process of it all. When I first started playing the game, I would crawl to sneak by zombies. And then I started to shoot them. I quickly learned that was a bad move, as gunshots brought more zombies and brought more players. I'd then kite zombies. I learned that you could lose them by running through trees or through buildings. And eventually, one really nice tip I found was if you ran down a steep hill, the zombies would fall and die. No one taught me these things. My friends just learned them over time, and we shared the information with each other so that we could all become better players. And when eventually I came back to the game after my initial binge to play with some friends from college, they were all shocked at how I would shoot other players on sight and act in erratic and suspicious ways. It was all instinctive for me because I thought I was helping them survive. Even if we met another friendly player, one wrong move by that friendly player and I'd blow their brains out, suspecting that they meant us the worst. Hell, at one point, the pinnacle of it, I even executed a player in our group because he had a cold. I didn't want him spreading it to the rest of the group and we didn't have any medicine, so I thought that was our best option. Now that is some Rick Grimes type shit.
It's coming at me, bro. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Shit happens.
I become some cliche, grizzled survivor, all organically over the course of my playtime. With no direction or hand holding from the game at all, it was all something that I chose myself, that developed organically. The moment where I shot friendly players on sight instinctively, not just to protect myself, but my friends, it made me realize that DayZ was more than just a game, but a true interactive experience. This game made me feel more emotionally attached, scared, angry, happy, and determined to survive more than any other video game. I had a character arc on this game that was all player driven and organic, unscripted, entirely myself. I'd gone from an idealistic survivor finding friends to sharing meat around a campfire, eventually turning into a monster that took no chances with strangers and never let his guard down. For me, this is why DayZ will always be one of the best games ever, ranking with my other greats. It wasn't a game, it really was a true experience. If this all sounds like the plot for every zombie and post-apocalyptic film and TV show ever, it's because it near enough is. But what's really remarkable about this is the fact that this all happened organically, with no script and no influence from the developers. At a few points, they tried to really discourage banditry by providing humanity meters, different skins for bandits and heroes. So the hero skin became really popular because you could only achieve it by doing a lot of nice acts. Even then, people still killed each other on sight, with many people just killing fresh players for fun. And this really begs the question, will this happen in a real apocalypse? Will people really turn on each other in this way just to survive? It's all very intriguing, and it's something that made DayZ stand out as a unique experience. The experience of evolving and growing from a clueless survivor into a grizzled veteran who shoots on sight and asks questions later. It was something to behold, experiencing betrayals, ambushes, and all-out wars with opposing tribes. This all made me feel like I'd never felt before playing video games, and it's something that I'll remember forever. I mean, no game before or since has ever made my hands tremble from adrenaline when I've been in a firefight. Not even close. And I don't know if any game will ever get me that close again.